Who could have guessed that it wasn't the snow and the trash that was the problem, but what was under the snow?
So now we know the real reason why Epstein wasn't into black girls the way that he was into his own, because he had other plans for our people.
2 alien skeletal remains have allegedly been recovered under a church in Mexico, right?
Look at Michael J. White in the back, right? Watch this, guys.
What's up, and welcome back to Chill Spot. Ready for another round of mind-blowing, creepy videos from all over the web? You're in the right place. We've got viral TikToks, shocking internet clips, and plenty of weird moments lined up just for you. So grab your seat, dim the lights, and let's jump into today's show. It's gonna be a wild ride.
Who could have guessed that it wasn't the snow and the trash that was the problem, but what was under the snow? Ever since we had all that snow in New York City, residents went to social media posting videos about just how bad the conditions were under the new mayor, Zoran Mondani. Little did they know the snow and the trash were the least of their problems, because as the snow melted, they discovered feces as far as the eye can see. How does this even happen? A resident commented on Twitter, "I've lived here my whole life. I've never seen no S like this." To which I replied, "No S like this, literally." I guess the only question here is, do you think that Zoran's the one who took a squat and used cloud seeding to cover up the mess that he made? Let me know.
The situation in America looks bad. I mean, the streets with all them garbage looks bad. I hope this is not the state in all the states in America, and we pray for y'all up in there are doing good and all will be well. Let us continue.
2 alien skeletal remains have allegedly been recovered under a church in Mexico, right? 2 bodies right here that you're seeing right now. Absolutely incredible. This was on News Nation with Chad Rubichel, who is a United States Marine Corps veteran, and with the TAD Recovery CEO, T.W. Mock, talking about the process, what happened, how they recovered these things, and what they found. The 2 skeletal bodies, and allegedly a carving as well, depicting these 2 beings with spears, the ones that are referenced, and these are dating back to around the 1600s. Now, there is talks that they are alluding to that a lot of these churches are also spiritual sites, things of that nature, have been built on top of crash sites or things related to the UFO extraterrestrial phenomena, right? Now, allegedly, 13 operatives reportedly died while attempting a recovery prior to the 2 guys finally recovering these remains that we're seeing here. Check this out. It is incredible.
Okay, so we've got an image that we've put up here of what appear to be 2 skeletal remains. They're clearly not human. If we believe what you've been told about these remains, they date right back to the 1600s.
Correct.
Talk me through what we're looking at here. They appear to be non-human. Talk me through what you're looking at.
I'll move back to the original carving stone. That was one of the first objects that was identified. And that particular stone had a reference of 2 skeletal looking beings, and one was stabbing the other on this stone. And then that stone was actually date stamped back in the 1632-34 range. Then that leads me to the skeletal remains that were found secondarily. And then you put that, and I go back to this because it was carved in stone. It resembles the artifacts that I found as skeletal remains. And then subsequently, anyway, I was trying to process all of the information as it came together, and subsequently that led me to a place of saying, well, this isn't us, this isn't human.
Well, there is proof of alien life found, but funny to think of it, that we have never been shown real aliens on our news stations. Maybe they'd be taking them to Area 51 for experimentation or their technology. Who knows? Let us continue.
This video is going viral right now because Busta Rhymes came out to tell the audience this. Listen to this. Do you remember when Cat Williams said they make you wear a dress, and if you don't wear the dress, you don't get the roles you're looking for? Big Mama's House with Eddie Murphy. Of course, it's comedy, ha ha ha. Some say it's a humiliation ritual. You have the one with Robin Williams, Mrs. Doubtfire. We have the movie White Chicks. There are more movies than you may remember that have this type of situation going on. Chris Rock wore the dress. So now I can't really get that out of my head when I see a famous person wearing the dress, a famous man wearing the dress. I go, damn, he took them up on their offer. And then we have the notion of one-hit wonders. Some people think that one-hit wonders are people who refused to join the cult or sign on the dotted line or sell their soul. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below and follow for more. One thing I will say too, we know that there is a massive decline in testosterone levels today, as well as overall fertility. This may have something to do with the bajillions of pounds of glyphosate and atrazine they're spraying into the food and water supply, and also the microplastics and forever chemicals. Now, if you think it might be time to start detoxing, boosting testosterone, and calibrating your endocrine system, right now Chalk is giving away free superfoods. This is the Chad mode, which has 150 milligrams of organic caffeine per scoop, plus organic blue spirulina, which binds to heavy metals, phthalates, microplastics, pesticides, and excretes them out of the body. Plus, if you combine that with the hot water purified shilajit or the chalk lit powder, the organic heirloom cacao from Bolivia, you're getting some of the most potent superfoods in the natural world. Comment free below and check your DMs for details.
Y'all know how the music industry be like with all their rituals. We have seen these humiliation rituals for musicians for long now, and I think we'll have to admit that they do not do this out of their own free will, but of the people who control them.
You're in a video game called Life on Earth, and if you're watching this video, you're probably a lot closer to winning the game than you might think. It does really seem to be that we live in a simulation. There's almost no matter in reality, and it's just photons, light, energy that responds to our emotions and our thoughts. And so what's the objective? What's the purpose of this experience, this video game matrix simulation? I want to offer a few perspectives, saving the most intriguing one for last. Many people talk about we're souls on a growth and healing journey, and that comes through experiences. I love the book Journey of Souls. It talks about the planning process of picking our life, our body, our family, our challenges, and I get head to toe goosebumps when I read this book. I can't recommend it enough. Another perspective is that it's all about love. We're here to learn how to choose love over fear. And I want to point out that a lot of us forget to give ourselves that love. We focus it outward, but you are every bit as important as anybody else. And ultimately, I don't think there is anybody else, that we're all fundamentally one at some level. So when you give yourself love, you are giving love out to the collective. Another reason we might be here.
Quite an interesting video there. But as you look at the life we are living in, many might say it is a simulation. I would say it's true because life today is crazy. Tell us in the comments section what you think and leave a like for us.
This movie with Mel Gibson is like trolling us. Have a listen to the opening dialogue. This is the beginning of the movie. I can't believe, people at the time just thought this was crazy or funny and entertaining to watch. Little did they know, they're being told something. Check this out.
Fathers of Nobel Prize winners were rounded up by United Nations military units, all right, and actually forced at gunpoint to give semen samples in little plastic jars, which are now stored below Rockefeller Center underneath the ice skating rink. You want to be there for the thaw. It's disgusting. You know what they put in the water, don't you? Fluoride. Yeah, fluoride. On the pretext that it strengthens your teeth. That's ridiculous. You know what this stuff does to you? It actually weakens your will. Takes away the capacity for free and creative thought. It makes you a slave to mistake. Yeah, Oswald, that's what I said, Oswald. He said, I'm just a Nazi, and that means that he didn't do it, right? George Bush knew what he was saying when he said New World Order. Remember those three little words, New World Order? Well, he was a 33rd degree Mason, and as ex-director of the CIA.
Look, I know it's an eerie thought that our reality is completely manipulated and controlled and things are hiding in plain sight, but that's exactly what you're witnessing here. They're telling you what's going on, but they're pitching it to you with the idea of this kind of kooky conspiracy guy who won't shut up, won't stop talking about all these crazy government things that are going on. But it's even more deeper than that. I know that when I told my dad about the 9/11 symbology in Back to the Future, and I showed him the full video that I made on it, like, hey, look at the 9/11 in the street, and the tower exploded, and then you see the flames, and it shapes like 9/11. It's an eerie thought. Like, he was creeped out. He's like, that's fucking weird. And it is weird. And if you type it into any search engine, what are the odds of this, and that happening in a movie like Snake Eyes, with the Charlie Kirk thing? What are the odds of that happening, and then that happening in real life? Like, of that being a coincidence? The odds are like 1 in several trillion. This is part of the plan against humanity, to keep us in a lowered state of consciousness so that we're easier to manipulate. One of the ways that plan goes through is with all the chemicals in the food and water supply. If you think it's time to start detoxing some of this stuff, right now Chalk is giving away free superfoods to help you decalcify your pineal gland, boost your brain function massively, and fertility. This is the Chad mode, which increases natural energy levels. It has 150 milligrams of organic caffeine per scoop, plus organic blue spirulina. Super detoxing and delicious. Comment free below and check your DMs for details. Tons of superfoods in your DMs.
That movie be crazy. Right. As I always tell y'all, these movies be telling us some hidden truths, especially those produced in them old days. It's interesting how they show us what is happening in the name of movies. Let's continue.
They hid this from you for a very simple reason. If you found out how your energy works, no one else could control you. What I'm about to show you was banned, because it's not symbolic. It's practical, it's direct, and it's dangerous for those who profit from your confusion. There's a point in your body that, when activated the right way, makes your energy change state. You feel it instantly, in your body, on your skin, and the world starts responding differently. But almost no one notices, because everyone's looking in the wrong place. Today, you're going to understand exactly how to control your vibration. No talisman, no ritual, no guru. And the craziest part? You're already using this energy right now, even without knowing it. The problem is, using it by accident isn't the same as using it with intention. And that's when everything changes. The ignorant man blames others for his condition. The semi-wise blames himself. But the wise one realizes that everything is energy in motion. You're broadcasting right now, at this very moment. Even if you don't want to, even if you don't know it. There's a frequency coming out of you, moving through space, touching everything around you, shaping the invisible. And the scariest part, no one ever told you. They always made you believe that reality is just out there, fixed, solid, an unchangeable structure that you have to accept, adapt to, and resign yourself to. But the truth is the opposite. Reality isn't static. It responds. It adjusts. It shapes itself according to what you carry inside. Your thoughts aren't just thoughts. They're not stuck in your head like powerless words. They're impulses that spread out, vibrations that interact with the field around you. And the more emotion they carry, the more power they have. Anger, fear, excitement, desire. All of that changes your energetic signature. Have you ever noticed how a room changes when someone walks in full of tension? Or how a conversation can suddenly feel lighter, for no obvious reason, when someone shows up with a real smile? That's the field at work. That's energy being transmitted and received. That's you affecting the world without saying a single word. Now think about this. If that happens even when you don't mean to, what would happen if you did it on purpose? The biggest mistake was teaching you that action only exists in the physical, that you only create when you do something with your hands, your body, your voice. That's a lie.
Quite an interesting clip right there for our spirituality segment. Really shows us how we are capable of great things. I bet none of this was ever taught on school, but it's always great to know some of his things. Shout out to him. Let's continue.
You were both in Skull and Bones, the secret society.
It's so secret we can't talk about it.
What does that mean for America? The conspiracy theorists are going to go wild.
I'm sure they are. I don't know. I haven't seen the web.
Number 322.
You
both were members of Skull and Bones, a secret society at Yale. What does that tell us? Not much, because it's a secret. Is there a secret handshake? Is there a secret code? I wish there were something secret I could manifest. 322, secret number? There are all kinds of secrets, Tim, but one thing is not a secret. I disagree with this president's direction that he's taking the country. We can do a better job, and I intend to do it.
Tim Russert, the moderator of Meet the Press and NBC's Washington bureau chief, collapsed and...
So now we know the real reason why Epstein wasn't into black girls the way that he was into his own. Because he had other plans for our people. Have y'all seen this, bro? Epstein emails expose disturbing parties for hunting black people. Yeah, I cannot make this shit up if I wanted to, man. Look at what Jeffrey Epstein said. It says, going to me Lana's party now to hunt. And guess what? There, right over here, y'all see that? And one of the most powerful families in the world, the Rothschild, replied to it saying, thanks, thrilling hunt. So with movies like The Hunger Games, they were literally telling us what they were doing to our people. You really think they're doing this to their own? Peep this, y'all. The movie is called The Hunger Games Mockingjay. J, the letter J. If you know your history correctly, the oldest languages in the Bible didn't have the letter J in it. It was the letter Y for Yah, meaning God. So they're literally telling us they are mocking God. And who is God? Come on, y'all already know. Stop playing. Now, once again, y'all, when it comes to me, I let my numbers do the talking for me, because men lie, women lie, but numbers don't. The movie is called The Hunger Games, and it gives you the number 42. Do you know how relevant the number 42 is, y'all? Look up the number 42 and how it's associated with our people specifically. Hold on, you don't have to. Let me show y'all. Huh? Y'all see this? And who was Jeffrey Epstein hunting? Bro, I'm not playing with y'all. These movies have been telling us for quite some time. Ever since they set foot on our land, this is exactly what they've been doing. How do you think they've been keeping our people underneath this spell? They are literally mocking us right here on our place, bro. And they're literally telling us, this is nothing new. Why would they do this to their own? Now you really understand why over 1 million black women and children go missing every single year. Because of this head honcho over here. Y'all, when y'all gonna wake up? It's 2026, man. When are y'all gonna wake up and stop sleeping with the enemy? And everybody's asking the same question now. What did we do to y'all? What did we do to y'all? Let me know down in the comments below, y'all. The shift is here. Let's continue to get it. Peace in. You see her smiling? You see her smiling? You see that? See that? You see, you got the black body, you got the chocolate insides, right? You got the black woolly afro hair. Yeah. Because this is what they look like, right? This is what they look like. Y'all better wake up, man. The shift is here. Let's continue to get it. Peace in.
Some interesting clips right there with George Bush and a secret society. Do y'all think Epstein Island was and used for activities like in the Hunger Games movie? I do not know, because a lot has been said about that place. Let's continue. Y'all know the Simpsons movie has been predicting everything, and their predictions have come to pass. Would be crazy to discover them. Producers of the movie series are actually time travelers, and they have come to show us these things.
For thousands and, well, 50,000 years, really. And so there was an influx in the 1950s and the 1970s of higher vibrational beings. The controlling consciousness that is in charge at this moment of this planet is what is and are aware of every incarnate being that comes into this planet. Through sexual union between a male and a female, energy is then sent up and vibrates up through frequencies. They have technology to be able to see where, and then a soul is then attracted to a lifetime, and then the soul will then, this is just one way, a soul will then come to the womb of the mother, and they can track this. They can track this from happening. Okay, so in the 1950s there was something called Project Oak Tree. Project Oak Tree, this is the truth about Project Oak Tree. Project Oak Tree, the oak tree itself is symbolic of Lucifer. They use the term oak tree. Oak tree is synonymous with Lucifer. So in the the controlling power that has at this time power over this planet is aware that there are very, very, very powerful beings. I don't know what you would want to call them, demigods, gods, whatever you want to call them. That there was an influx of them coming. So they didn't know where and when they were going to be here, but they needed to find a way of tracking them.
That's crazy, y'all. I mean, how did they know on the chosen ones in the first place? Crazy how people go to great lengths to get what they want. If you are enjoying the video, subscribe to the channel so that you do not miss, and leave a like.
People are losing their minds after a 200-year-old castle was put up for sale for about half the price you can buy some one-bedroom flats in London. The castle is located on a Scottish island called the Isle of Rum. Come on. It has 20 bedrooms. It was once visited by the king, and you even get to keep all the historical pieces inside, including the demons. Not only was it built all the way back in the late 1700s, meaning it's seen some shit, but it's so cool that it even had public tours going on there for a while. And I mean, may I suggest it being a perfect home for those who have many enemies, as you even have lookout towers so you can see the ops coming from miles away. Now, there are some downsides. You know, the heating might be a little expensive. The cost of monthly exorcisms will probably add up. And if you did want to demolish it and build a multi-story car park, well, permits might be a little tricky to get a hold of because it's a Category A listed building, meaning it's of national importance or whatever. But, you know, if you and the homies wanted to take one bedroom each, you split it, that's £37,000. Because the total price for all of this castle, £750,000. I mean, you may have to defend it against White Walkers one day, but I think it's a bargain.
What a great castle. Bet you could fit 1,000 people up in that crib. That's crazy. Drop a comment below how many people you would fit in that place and leave a like. Let's go on with the video.
Now, I'm sure there's some people out there who believe they can never get scammed, but if this lady walk into your home, she leaving with your social security number. Meet Elizabeth Holmes, the woman who scammed the world out of $10 billion with the promise that she was going to change the medical field. She lied. And it all started because Elizabeth had a problem. Even from a young age, she loved money. Her parents said, "Girl, what you want for Christmas?" She said, "Stacks." Now, thing is, her parents weren't broke. They had money, but she wanted more. She started going to Stanford University to study chemical engineering, but she started touching her pockets. She said, "Hold on, I'm broke." She said, "Professor, when I start getting the real racks?" The professor said, "Well, the real racks, as you put it, is our contribution to science." She said, "Oh, that's broke talk." So she leaves to study abroad in China amongst the real bag chasers. She said, "Shenzai nali." They said, "Juju mingli deren buhui wen jega wenti." Elizabeth said, "Man, watch out with all that. I get money. Matter of fact, I'm gonna just start my own business." And that's when Elizabeth decides to start her own business, creating a medical device, to be more specific. Now, you need to listen to this next part closely. You know how when you go to the hospital, you get your blood drawn so a doctor could figure out what's going on with your body? Well, Elizabeth's plan was to make a machine so all you'd have to do is get your finger pricked and a machine would scan you almost instantly. Now, the problem is actual blood analysis machines are so sophisticated and require so many parts that her idea was pretty much impossible. In fact, her professor tells her this. Elizabeth said, "Impossible for you, brokey. I'm gonna figure it out." Elizabeth drops out of school. She started telling people about her company so she could start raising some money. And what I tell you about her in the beginning of the video, if she walk into your house, she leaving with some. Her neighbor gives her $500,000. Her parents start throwing cash at her too. In fact, in just a few months, she raises $7 million. And her company, Theranos, was born. Some of the richest billionaires on earth start joining her. People who used to work for Apple, CEOs, politicians, they all start throwing money at her. She's valuated at around $30 million. She just started. They said, "Girl, where the machine at though? She said, huh? Oh, it's coming, it's coming. She creates a research department. She rushes in. She says, yo, where my machine at, y'all? They said, girl, I think your professor was right. This is tough. She said, how you know what my professor said? You wasn't in that part of the story. It don't matter. Make my machine. They said, all right, girl, it's the weekend though. When we come back Monday, she said, weekend? Boy, if you don't get in the lab. Oh yeah, Elizabeth was a tyrant. If you ain't with it, you gotta get out the way. Matter of fact, she hires an entirely new research team. And she says, hey, whoever makes my machine is my research team. Whoever don't, you fired. So her old research team start busting their ass, but it don't matter. What she wanted to create was impossible. Her chief financial officer figures that out. He started looking at the numbers. He said, Elizabeth, we worth 200 million now, but we don't have a machine. She said, you don't have a job. You fired. Fires him on the spot. He rushes over to the board of directors. Remember, CEOs, billionaires. He said, check your pockets, y'all. Elizabeth's scamming. They said, what? That's our job. Elizabeth, get in here right now. Their plan was to figure out what's going on and throw her out. But what did I say in the beginning of the video? She walked into your house. She leaving with something. Elizabeth walk in, cool as a fan. She said, yeah. They said, Elizabeth, where the machine? Where my money? She said, now, I don't know what she said. But what I do know is after that meeting, she convinced all the board of directors to stay. She convinced them a machine is on its way. And she convinced them to give her a majority stake in the company so she can make all the decisions and they can never question her again. She then looks at her employees and said, if anybody else want to run their mouth like that CFO, you fired and you getting sued. Everyone stay quiet. Now at this point, her company's worth about 10 billion. She starts to get really famous. And here's where things start to get wicked. She wanted more. Walgreens pulls up to her. They said, girl, we seen you on TV. She said, no pictures. They said, well, what about a check? They give her $140 million so her machines can be placed in their stores. So she takes the check, goes to her research department and says, okay, I need a couple machines for the Walgreens store. They said, did you build a machine? Because I don't see one in this lab. She said, okay, you fired. Anybody else? Her scientist said, Elizabeth, there is no machine. She said, okay, but Walgreens gave me some samples that we need to test. They said, Elizabeth, there is no machine. She says, what you mean? I see a machine right there. She decides to use regular blood testing machines that hospitals and everybody uses. And then she pretends that her machine did it. Walgreens says, amazing. When can we get the actual machines in the stores though? Elizabeth said, nothing. When the deadline came, she just didn't give him anything. People started saying, that's a little suspicious. See, at this point from when she created the company, it had been about 10 years. Still no machine. And at this point, she had made a lot of enemies. So people, including her employees, start talking to an investigative reporter. Elizabeth finds out. She rushes over to the reporter. She says, stop this story or you're getting sued. The reporter says, girl, I work for the Wall Street Journal. My boss is Rupert Murdoch. He got $20 billion. We not scared of you. But remember, she has some of the richest people in the world on her board. One of those people was Rupert Murdoch. She goes over to him. She says, stop this article from coming out. He said, nah, I believe in my team. They're going to tell the truth. Oh, and they told the truth all right. They told the world she was scamming. Elizabeth, though, cool as a fan. She said, that's cap. She gets a knock on the door. She said, who that? They said, it's the FDA. We came to do a surprise inspection on your laboratory. See what's all going on. She said, today? They said, surprise. They investigate her laboratory and find out her machine doesn't work. And it all starts crumbling down. Government agencies start piling on. Her investors begin to sue the hell out of her. She even gets sued by the state of Arizona because of all the tests she conducted on people. Fake tests with her machine that didn't work, and doctors need accurate tests so they can diagnose people. She loses hundreds of millions of dollars. She said, well, at least the FBI swooped in. They said, girl, don't even say nothing. Put your hands behind your back. Oh yeah, the FBI had been investigating her. They already had their case. She was facing 22 years. Now, something I didn't mention was she had a business partner who she was in a relationship with named Sonny. The FBI came down on both of them. She basically says that like Sonny influence her, but she takes responsibility and she starts the trial pregnant. She's basically getting as much sympathy as possible. Sonny denies it. He said, all she want is paper at all times. I'm a bag chaser too, but that girl wild. The judge said, and that's going to be your only line in the story. 13 years. Elizabeth said, and what about me? The judge said, you know what? You were facing 22 years, but we're just going to have you do 3 months. She said, okay. The judge said, and 11 years. She said,
why did you say it like that? He said, don't tell me how to do my job. Take her away. And well, there it was. As far as prisons go, she got locked up in a pretty nice one, but it's still prison. And just remember, there are a lot of people who deal in the business of selling dreams. But sometimes if it sounds too good to be true, it is.
What a crazy video. Shows how far people can go to get what they want. Right, for the ladies up in here. Don't be like that. And I hope everyone learned a lesson from that clip. Drop a like below if you liked the video so far, and let's continue.
Straight from his mouth. This is Brad Pitt. Listen.
It took me to my adult years or leaving home where I could really try on something different for myself. That was Satanism. It's working out really well. I made a pact. The movie came out, so...
Oh, he's just joking, you say? It's so funny how they all joke about the exact situation, even the pact. Once they get in, there's only one way out, and I'll show you in a second. Isn't it wild how none of the celebrities, like none of them, are talking about any of these files or anything going on with that? And it's also funny how leaders around the world are continually talking about American and their Satanism, right? Not like we trust them either. Would you like me to tell you the reason for the deafening silence from the entertainment industry and why it's basically all of them? Totally not related at all whatsoever. Once you go into the Pizza Hut, there's no way out of the Pizza Hut. There's actually only one way, and it's to be basically not related alive. Do you remember when this whole Ellen DeGeneres and her girlfriend thing happened, and they had the ambulance and someone came back to life? There's a contract, and there's an oath, and there is no breaking that contract. Even if they wanted to, they won't. And if they did, you know how the story goes.
I told you guys, they never stop giving us the clues to their mysteries. You just have to look for them. I think Brad Pitt didn't just say that for the media. Drop a comment below what you think. We like hearing from you. Let's continue.
Look at Michael J. White in the back, right? Watch this, guys. As he's walking, Michael J. White is gone. Where did he go? Where did he go? You know where he went. He's Raphael. Shh. Shut up! We got you now. Pay attention. What are they trying to tell us here, guys? They got a human mask in their hand. You see, they've been showing us, you mother. Shh. Shut up! Listen. I ain't saying nothing. You see it for yourself, guys. What does this mean? What are they trying to tell us here? Shh, don't you even say it. Well. What does that mean, guys? Why in that cartoon did they show us that they were putting masks on? Shh, shut up! This is what people are saying, guys, all right? What does that mean? People are saying that they used to wear those masks to come up on the surface and walk around and blend in with people. That's what they said. Oh, it's too late now, Ninja Turtles. We got you. Shh. Shut up! It's not a game, guys. I told you about this. And people have brought this to my attention. I knew it. So what does this really mean? You know what it means. You know what it means. And remember, guys, remember what I told you in the last video about this. Remember. Shh. Also, remember that this is for entertainment purposes only. And I'm just playing around, guys. This was my favorite movie. And I miss this movie a lot. I don't know, guys. Let me know what you think about this. I'm out.
Simulation theory states that if simulated worlds, like video games, ever get to a point that we cannot tell them apart from reality, then we can effectively conclude that our reality isn't real, but we're actually all living in a simulation, and I can prove it with basic math. So we have our reality, V0. Someone in this so-called reality will eventually create a simulated world, like a video game, with perfect graphics and AI models that perfectly emulate humans, physics, and every single thing in our world with one-to-one accuracy. A perfect simulation of our universe. Call it V1. If V1 truly is an exact replica of our reality, then follow me here, it is 100% guaranteed that someone in V1, like a AI human model, will eventually create their own simulated world inside of V1. If someone did it in V0 and V1 is a carbon copy of V0, then someone will do it again in V1. Another simulated world with perfect graphics and AI models that perfectly emulate emulate humans, physics, and every single thing inside of V1 with one-to-one accuracy. That would be V2. Now the same thing would happen in V2, which creates V3, which creates V4, starting a chain reaction of simulated worlds inside simulated worlds. Infinite nested simulations, like a dream inside of a dream inside of a dream that by definition goes on forever. By the logic we've used so far, this chain is guaranteed to start as soon as someone in our world creates this perfect video game. Now let's pause and take a step back. We have one real reality, the base reality, V0, and an infinite amount of simulated worlds, V1 to V infinity. So the probability that our world, the one you're in right now, is the base reality, V0, would be 1 out of infinity, which mathematically speaking is 0%. A 0% probability we're in the base reality equals a 100% probability we're actually living in a simulation. Now the counter theory to this states we haven't created this perfect simulation video game in our reality yet, which means we're either in V0 and haven't figured out how to make it yet, and maybe it's not even possible and we never will, or we're the last simulation in the chain, VX or whatever, and we're still trying to figure out how to create our own perfect simulation, VX+1, which then brings our probability of being in the base reality up to 1 out of 2. 50%. V0 reality or VX simulation. The counter theory to that is that once we do figure out how to create that perfect simulation, this 50-50 scenario no longer applies because we figured it out and we're right back to where we started. 1 out of infinity. Simulation 100% confirmed with sheer math and numbers. Go cry about it. And in case you got lost in the explanation here, remember.
Just a food for thought there. I know some of you may think differently, but what if he is true? I mean, the guy has a point. And everyone has a way of thinking. Let's continue.
This is where I draw the line. These are not the same people. Elaine has been locked up for only 6 years. So why is it that in this new video from prison, does she look like she aged 15 years? She also does not sound the same. This is a video of her 3 years ago during an interview in prison, and this is how she looks and sounds now.
I invoke my Fifth Amendment right to silence.
Her nose is different, her eyes are different, and her voice is definitely different. And then all of a sudden, they want to release these videos of Ghislaine in prison, going about her day, just to convince the public that that's her. I'm already prepared for some of you to be calling me a conspiracy theorist, but listen, if anyone else committed the same crimes she did, they would not be transferred into a low security prison camp and be given all the perks like food delivery to her cell, private rooms to watch TV, and playing with dogs. Also, in case you didn't know, the prison has prohibited other inmates and threatened them with solitary confinement if they spoke about Ghislaine, complained about her perks, or mentioned anything about her to anyone outside the prison.
What is it they say about the devil? That he comes as an angel of light. Well, do you ever notice something about McDonald's? You know, McDonald's, that this guy just happens to really support? Like, really support? But before I keep talking about him, I want to show you something about the devil. You see, the devil, the deceiver of the whole world, he was thrown down to earth, and his angels were thrown down here with him. And do you know how many angels came down with him? The Bible says a third. Third is 0.33. And I noticed he had 2 drinks here. I thought that was odd. The Bible says a third of the angels were cast down here. 0.33. You know, 0.33. And I wonder what those hand symbols mean. Sure, it's rock on. But let's get back to McDonald's. Do you know what M is? If you turn M sideways, what's that look like? Oh, looks like a 3, right? And C, that's the third letter of the alphabet. So Donald's 3. And when you say the arches kind of look like wings, well, do you know what kind of angel the devil was, aka Lucifer? Well, he was an archangel. Kind of reminds me of the golden arches. And hey, do you ever notice the colors of McDonald's? Yeah, it kind of reminds me of something. And hey, are those wings? Interesting color choice there, wouldn't you say? Oh, and that dragon that was thrown down to earth with his angels? Well, yeah, the Bible just happens to say he's red. Oh, and what about that other color, yellow? Well, do you know there's a very well-known dye that's yellow? I bet you'll never guess what its name is. Yeah, it's a highly fluorescent dye used to light up cells. Light up. It kind of reminds me of the light bearer, otherwise known as Lucifer. You know, the light bearer. The light bearer. It's a funny painting he has in the house that is white. Wouldn't you say? Almost looks like he has wings in this house that is white painting. And I don't know about you, but that kind of looks like the flames of hell to me. And well, you know how I always say they tell us the truth in plain sight? Well, do you really think that's accidental? How about this one? That's a real photo. And so is that. And so is that. And this one. And what was it he said during that? Fight, fight, fight. You know what letter F is in the alphabet, right? It's the sixth. 6, 6, 6. And what were those two big ideas he had? The big, beautiful bill and build back better. I know those are B's, but it's intentional. It's because you can make it look like a 6. Do you know what floor he lived on in his penthouse? You guessed it, didn't you? Did you guess it? What number you dialed? 88 minus 22.
Crazy how he puts his things together. Shout out to the Flat Earther. Another one for the creepy section of the video. Those clips really got me going. Drop a comment down below what you think, and let's continue with the rest of the video.
A girl was walking home from a club late at night. She'd had way too much to drink, so every single step felt like a struggle. Out of nowhere, a car pulled up next to her. The driver rolled down his window and offered to give her a ride home. She said no, but the guy wouldn't take the hint. He got out of the car, walked up to her, and tried to force her into the passenger seat. She managed to break free and told the stranger exactly where he could go. That must have set him off, because he tried again to shove her into the car. Luckily, a man who was passing by noticed what was going on and ran over to help. He shoved the guy in the hoodie hard and told him to back off. The stranger in the hoodie started making up excuses, claiming he was her brother and that their parents had asked him to bring her home. Eventually, things escalated between the two men. But the girl's rescuer quickly made it clear that the guy in the hoodie was in the wrong, then literally pushed him back into his car through the window. The guy in the hoodie flipped them off through the window and sped away. After that, the man helped the girl steady herself. He asked if she needed medical attention, but she just asked him to call her a cab. Without hesitation, he paid for her ride, and she made it home safely.
Thank God there are still good people still around. Shout out to that guy that came to help. Hope you learned something from that, and stay safe out there. Let's proceed with the video.
Have you seen the clean girl on TikTok? The one that cleans graves? Yeah.
I'm at the graveyard at night, cleaning this abandoned grave for free.
She goes up to everybody's grave, gives it a clean if it's dirty, right? There was one where a teddy bear was on it. Obviously, we know like if an inanimate object is somewhere and surrounded by spirits, the spirits would usually jump into the object, teddy bear, right? Yeah. So she was like, okay, the teddy bear and all the toys around it are dirty. So she took the teddy bear home, cleaned it, and returned it, right? Yeah. And in one of the videos, she put the shovel in the ground, and you can see it went like this. Ooh. But she didn't see it because she was cleaning the grave. And then there was another one where there was a plant box, and the roses, it jumped out of the plant box. What the And after that video, she didn't clean no graves again.
I would have been scared because I brought it home, bro. I would have had to
she's crazy for that.
It's interesting. It's probably a child because it's a teddy bear, right?
Yes, exactly.
And you can imagine with the shovel, she's probably playing with the shovel.
Yeah.
Gotta give it to here. I mean, how many people do you know go around cleaning graves? It's creepy though. The girl did not hear what was happening behind her or even notice anything suspicious. Shout out to the Jumpers Jump podcast.
According to rumors, this is one of the scariest and most authentic videos that ever leaked from the dark web. Look very carefully. At first, the video looks completely harmless. Just 3 friends standing in a small room, recording themselves, laughing, trying to make music together. Nothing strange, nothing dangerous. Nothing that should raise suspicion. But then comes the moment people never forget. Focus on the person in the middle. Now look to the right side of his head. Because something moves there. Slow. Quiet. Almost unnoticed, but absolutely real. Some might call it a shadow. Some might say it's just bad lighting. But if you watch closely, you'll see that the shape has depth. It has weight. It leans forward as if it's observing them. And the most disturbing part is that none of the three react. Not a turn of the head. Not a pause. Nothing. As if the presence in the corner was invisible to them, but not to the camera. Watch that moment again and tell me in the comments if you saw the shape too, or if it saw you first. Follow me for more true mystical stories.
Wow, that was very creepy. Looks like he saw a ghost or something there for a moment. Even his friends behind him did not even notice a thing. It's only going to get creepier from here. Let's continue.
So this woman keeps getting arrested because she keeps pretending to be a teenager. So the woman's name is Samantha, and Samantha's about 22 years old when this story starts, living in Australia. And Samantha, she's an odd person. More than anything else in the world, she loves to lie. I mean, she's always bullshitting people, like she'll lie and tell people she meets that she's the actress Dakota Johnson, or that she's Lindsay Lohan, and I guess people believe her? I don't know. But one day in 2010, she decides to tell her biggest lie yet. She pretends to be a 14-year-old girl, and she tries to enroll in 2 different high schools. And pretty quickly, she's caught and she has to pay a fine for trying to use fraudulent documents, but that doesn't bother Samantha. Her plan to pretend to be a teen nearly worked, so she tries again. About a year later, she goes to Perth, and she befriends a local family, and she tells them that she's a Russian gymnast and an orphan whose family had been killed, and she almost talks this poor family into adopting her. So she does this stuff a lot. And by 2013, her lies get even bolder. That year, she flees Australia and goes all the way to Dublin, Ireland. And there, she goes to the Dublin General Post Office, and she starts hanging out outside the building. And people come across her, and she's acting all distressed, and she refuses to speak to anyone. So, of course, someone calls the police, and police take her to the hospital. But Samantha still isn't saying a word, like she's pretending she doesn't speak English. However, she does use hand signals to indicate that she's 14 years old. So police and staff assume that she was a victim of trafficking. So she stays in the hospital while police try and figure out who she is and where she's from. And weeks go by. And Samantha, she's still chilling in that hospital. She hasn't said a word to anyone. But then police communicate with Interpol, and Interpol figures out exactly who she is. Not a 14-year-old girl, but a 24-year-old woman from Australia. But now the Dublin police, they kind of don't know what to do. Because while she has wasted a tremendous amount of their time, she never actually told them that she was a teenager or that she needed help. They kind of just assumed that because of her general state of distress. So she didn't technically make a false police report. She did, however, lie about her age, but lying about your age isn't exactly a crime. So they don't know what to do with her. So eventually, they just say, F it, and they put her on a plane and they send her ass back to Australia. And there, she continues to bullshit people. But then, in 2014, she leaves Australia again and she travels all the way over to Calgary in Canada. And there, she goes to a local healthcare center and she tells the staff that she is 14 years old and that she had been kidnapped and that she was the victim of SA. And of course, the staff believes her because they have no reason not to. So they alert the police, and police start investigating this extensively. While Samantha, I guess, just gets to live in the healthcare center for free. And weeks go by, and Calgary police take Samantha's fingerprints and they submit them into an international database. And boom, they get a match. A match in Dublin, Ireland. So then the Irish police let them know that the person they have in their custody is not a 14-year-old girl, but rather a 26-year-old woman, a con artist. And so Calgary police charge her with public mischief, and bam, she spends 2 months in jail before they deport her back to Australia. But Samantha, she's not gonna let a little jail time stop her. No. She loves lying to people way too much. So in 2016, she goes to Sydney, and she pretends to be a 13-year-old girl wandering the streets. And a nice couple finds her, and she tells them some nonsense story that the US government has her under the Witness Protection Program and that she's a victim of trafficking and SA. And this couple believes her and takes her in as a foster child, and they enroll her in a local secondary school. So Samantha, this 28-year-old woman, is going to secondary school somehow, pretending to be 13 years old. And she's also like pretending to be illiterate. So the school staff spends tons of extra time with her trying to teach her to read when she can totally fully read. I'm not even sure what she's getting out of all this at this point. Anyway, she keeps this scam going for a few months until 2017. When she has to go and see a doctor about something, and later that doctor calls the school and he's like, I just gave this girl a medical exam and she is not 13 years old. And so the school calls the police and bam, Samantha gets arrested. And she pleads guilty and she's sentenced to 12 months in prison. Later, she gets out, and in 2019, she is 31 years old now. And after lying and conning a few more people for various reasons, she eventually makes a profile on a website looking for work as an au pair, which is like a nanny who lives with you. But this profile doesn't say that she's 31, it says that she's 18. So she's now pretending to be an 18-year-old girl. I guess she got too old to play a 14-year-old. But through that site, she meets a wealthy French couple who had recently moved to Brisbane. And so they are super impressed by her fake resume, and they end up hiring her as an au pair, and she has to relocate to Melbourne and essentially move in with them to help them take care of their 2 young kids. And this goes fine for about a month, but then she does something really weird. One day, she asks the couple if she can take the kids out for a picnic at a nearby park, and the parents are like, sure. But instead of taking the kids to the park, she actually drives them 2 hours away to a completely different city. And there she goes to a local mental health facility dressed in a school uniform. And she tells them that she is 14 years old and pregnant and that she had been SA'd by her uncle. And I don't know why she had to bring the French couple's kids with her to pull this con, but whatever, she did. Regardless, she lies to these people. However, immediately, one of the staff recognizes her, because by this point, she's a well-known con woman, and she had been all over the news. And so Samantha's like, oh shit, they're on to me, and she leaves. Well then, the staff calls police, and police show up, and they catch her walking down the street, and bam, they arrest her. And she tries to lie to them about who she is, but once they get her fingerprints, they know that she is actually Samantha, the well-known con woman. And so Samantha pleads guilty to theft and child stealing, and she gets sentenced to 2 years in prison. And in 2021, she gets out again, but later that same year, she's pretending to be a 14-year-old French girl, and bam, she gets arrested another time. Then in 2023, she's around 36 years old now, she goes out scamming again. This time, she goes to 2 specialist family violence charities, and she pretends to be a pregnant Belgian 17-year-old who is a victim of trafficking. And after scamming them out of food and shelter and medical services, they finally realize who she is, and so bam, she gets arrested again. And I couldn't find a mugshot, but here's a picture of her in real life. And ultimately, she pleads guilty, and she gets sentenced to 2 years in prison. And by the way, this is only like a fraction of the times that she has conned people. I couldn't even name them all. Like she's had over 100 criminal charges against her over the years for her various lies and cons. This woman is busy.
What a great one from Ray Williams. Listening to his stories really makes my day. If you have made it this far, you are a great one. Leave a like and drop a comment below. Which was your favorite clip in the video? Let's continue.
Here's what the news is telling us about these buildings that mysteriously caught fire in Hong Kong recently versus the totally fictional theory of what might actually be going on behind the scenes. Because these fires raged for over 40 hours straight, completely engulfing 7 buildings in flames for almost 2 whole days, and they didn't collapse? Which they shouldn't. Buildings are built to withstand extreme scenarios like these. Like, imagine something as ridiculous as just 1 floor of a skyscraper catching fire and the entire building collapsing collapsing in under 2 hours. Anyway, they're telling us it was actually an ancient construction method that was the root cause of these fires. One of the deadliest fires in Hong Kong's modern history, with over 128 people that have perished, and that number just keeps climbing every day, with an additional 279 people that have gone missing, as 7 residential high-rise buildings caught fires seemingly out of nowhere on November 26, 2025, during a huge restoration project on this complex. Well, just 2 days before these fires broke out, an article was published explaining how Hong Kong is trying to phase out its traditional bamboo scaffolding used for construction due to fire risks because it's bamboo, which is technically not wood but a tree-like grass, despite them using this method for construction for well over 2,000 years. And I guess it just took them that long to realize bamboo is flammable, because this was never really an issue in Hong Kong until just 2 days after that article was posted, when all this happened, spreading across 7 buildings. Now, mainland China actually already banned bamboo scaffolding back in 2022 in favor of steel support systems, and have been pressuring Hong Kong to do so as well. For those who don't know, China and Hong Kong are actually 2 completely different entities. Not exactly its own country, as China still technically owns Hong Kong, with an asterisk, as something in between a country and a city called a Special Administrative Region, SAR, each with their own currencies, dialects, laws, and governments, with Hong Kong being more of a small, isolated, somewhat westernized pocket in that part of the world. The reason behind this split between China and Hong Kong started when Britain defeated the Qing dynasty in 1842, taking over Hong Kong in victory. In 1898, Britain struck a deal with China, agreeing to a 99-year lease of China's land that ended in 1997, when Britain would give Hong Kong back to China, which they did. But the crucial part here is in 1984, Britain and China signed the Sino-British Joint Declaration, which stated that Britain would still give Hong Kong back to China in 1997 under the conditions that Hong Kong retains its sovereignty and independent culture from China for 50 years, operating under the one country, two systems principle, which is actually going to end in 2047, when China will fully legally regain control of Hong Kong again, and they can do whatever they want with it, like outright ban the use of bamboo scaffolding in favor of Chinese-produced steel beams, which, according to them, may have prevented these fires. Police have since arrested 11 people at the construction company behind this restoration project for the fires under gross negligence and manslaughter. And I guess we'll be seeing what changes, if any, both of these governments will be putting into motion as a result of this tragedy.
Remember that woman on the plane, the American Airlines, in the summer of 2023? The one who stood up shaking, claiming the person beside her wasn't human? You could see it in her face. She wasn't joking. She wasn't acting. That was real fear, the kind most people wouldn't even recognize if it stared them in the face. Of course, people laughed, said she was drunk, said she was on something. That's what they always do, distract themselves so they don't have to look. But body language experts studied the video, said she wasn't acting, said she actually saw something she wasn't meant to see. After the video went viral, she disappeared. No interviews, no posts, nothing, just vanished. Months later, she shows up once, some apology video or interview, and she looked completely different, stiff, careful, every word coached, too nervous, too off, and then silence again. I don't know what she saw, and maybe it doesn't even matter. People don't vanish like that for no reason. If you're paying attention, the quiet tells you more than any explanation ever could, because explanations invite questions. Questions spread, and when the silence falls, that's when you realize something bigger is happening, something no one wants you to see.
This is just a theory, not a fact.
Bruh, I can't make this shit up. I slid down to Walmart after I hopped out the shower because I wanted to fry some chicken, but I ain't had no flour. So I pull the fuck up and see a big ass drone ascend to the top of the roof. Now I'm like, what the fuck? So I say, fuck that drone and slide inside so I can hurry up and get this chicken fried. So once I finally make it past these two, I proceed to look for what the fuck I need. So I grabbed the cheapest bag of flour I could get, but something told me that the label was what I really need to read. So as I'm looking at the packaging, the first word I see is enriched. And now I'm like, enrich? What the fuck is that shit? So I did a little bit of G-search and looked up the word enrichment. And I couldn't fucking believe in what I was reading when they gave me the definition of this bitch. The first fucking definition said, of uranium. Having had a proportion of the isotope U-35, it contains increased in order to make it suitable for a nuclear reactor or weapon. So now I'm like, bitch, hold the fuck up. What the fuck is uranium? So I fuck around and G-search it and come to find out uranium is the chemical element of atomic number 92, a dense gray radioactive metal used as a fuel in nuclear reactors. Nigga, what the fuck? Nigga, the more I learn about this uranium shit, the more I get mad, because it ain't giving shit shit but red flags. So now I'm like, yo chat, since y'all force feeding us uranium, then what the fuck is the health benefits? And what can it do for humans? And these evil ass diabolical motherfuckers said, people have used uranium for building military shields, weapons, planes, and helicopters. It's also used to fuel nuclear weapons and nuclear power plants. So my biggest question is, why in the federal fuck are y'all force feeding us shit that is used to build planes, helicopters, and weapons, such as the atomic bomb that detonated and killed over 170,000 people in Hiroshima? And then Google replied, uranium is not intentionally added to food. It is found naturally in some foods and soil. Though in very small amounts, the process of food irradiation, which is sometimes confused with adding uranium, uses radiation to kill bacteria, insects, and mold to keep food safe. But it does not make the food radioactive. Get the fuck out of here. Bitch, we ain't stupid. You can't even make that dumb shit make sense if you wanted to. That's like saying, I'ma drop this big ass radioactive atomic bomb in the middle of Hiroshima to kill all the insects and the people, but the land is not gonna be radioactive after the bombing. That's straight up bullshit, because it's a motherfucking fact that deaths and illness from the radiation injury continue to make them folks suffer for 10 years after the bombing. God damn. So basically these bitch ass niggas is using the same radioactive nuclear weapon used to fuel a motherfucking nuclear reactor that obliterated 170,000 motherfuckers. Is the same process that y'all used to get bugs out of our food? Nigga, fuck no. All that is them going to war with us. That's chemical motherfucking warfare, my nigga. They using nuclear weapons to kill our ass, and that's big facts because I did a little bit more G-search on this shit. I asked, will I die if I eat uranium? They said, consuming 25 milligrams will immediately wreak havoc on the kidneys. Ingesting more than 50 milligrams can result in kidney failure and even cause death. They even say 1 kilo of this shit produces energy which is equivalent by 1,500 tons of coal. God damn. What happens if you eat a gram of uranium? The metal will react with an acid in your stomach, making you burp hydrogen, and consuming more will leave you with stomach cancer. So then I looked up the uranium concentration for flour, and come to find out flour has 0.25 grams of that shit up in that bitch. So 4 bags of flour equals a gram of uranium. So basically if you were standing in a motherfucking room with 4 bags of open flour and you got like 4 fans blowing at the same damn time and this shit just in the air, that shit'll kill your ass. And it's legal. But 4 grams of illegal marijuana won't do shit but make you cough. Look, uranium is so fucked up that it produces plutonium whenever it is bombarded in a nuclear reactor. And plutonium is basically uranium on crack, because America dropped a bomb on Nagasaki 3 days right after Hiroshima using a plutonium atom bomb. And uranium ain't just in flour, it's in all kind of shit that we eat. And I find it kind of odd that yellow cake uranium is a key ingredient for nuclear weapons, and uranium is in flour. And what's the first ingredient in a box of yellow cake? Motherfucking flour. Uranium, nigga. So I look at the ingredients on the back of the flour, and I realized that it didn't have no uranium in it, but it did have some bullshit called fluoric acid in it though, which is highly corrosive and toxic to humans. Now I'm sitting here in Walmart mad as hell because I can't have my fried chicken, talking to myself like the bully slayer saying,
oh, you son of a bitch. What have you done?
There were some crazy clips right there, right? I mean, the internet is full of crazy stuff. Just saw those the other day, and though to add them up in here, what to think of those clips? Drop a comment below. Let's continue.
If I told you that something has been feeding on humanity for 6,000 years and it hides behind the idea of progress, would you want to know what it is? Answer yes or no below. See, history doesn't repeat because we forget. It repeats because something makes sure that it does. There's a pattern of collapse. Every empire rises, thrives, and collapses. Historians call this the Four Turnings, a predictive season of destruction and rebirth. But why do we rebuild the same system every time expecting a different result? We are told we are living in the peak of civilization. We have more technology, longer lives, they say, and more connection, yet we face chronic illness, loss of purpose, and ecological exhaustion. We have evolved from one world, but we are being forced to live in another. What is this parasitic force? Civilization itself. Civilization is not a synonym for humanity. It is a specific spirit of extraction. It functions as a devouring mother, keeping subjects dependent and domesticated to consume their energy without giving back. Civilization is a society centered around 2 specific pillars: agriculture, which depletes the earth; centralized government, which depletes the humans. Specifically depletes the humans' freedom. You see, the 4 horsemen aren't just biblical figures. They are inevitable stages of the civilization cycle. We are watching them ride again. Colonialism is the white horseman, conquest under the guise of purity and freedom and divinity. War, revolution and imperial conflict. When people try to conquer you, you will go to war. Famine, as scarcity, soil depletion, supply chain collapse, inflation from the spread of civilization, and then death. Systemic collapse, the final stage of the disorder. Most civilizations have a hard time making it past 350 years. Why? Because they are based on extraction. They take from the soil until it's dead. They take from the spirit until it is dead and broken. It is a system that always trends towards entropy. The Great Mother raises you to be free, but the Devouring Mother keeps you infantile so it can feed on you. What do? Well, in philosophy of order, you have to do something called matrix engineering. A matrix is a medium or structure in which you develop, and everything has a matrix. The matrix the world has to create is a FAMS, a food forest, foraging, hunting, anti-fragile modern society. Get rid of the farms for food forest. Create a society that grows stronger in the chaos instead of breaks down. Restore our pact with animals. Technological, advanced hunter-gatherers. We are deep inside the fourth turning. The old system is dying. You have a choice. Will you cling to the records of civilization or get the free audiobook and the link at the top of the page, fam, so you can know what to do next? I love it.
That's it for this chilling chapter of Chill Spot. We hope you've enjoyed diving into the strange and unexplained with us. If today's episode left you with questions or even goosebumps, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe. We've got plenty more unsettling content waiting for you. Want to see something truly mind-blowing? Stick around for the next video. It's just around the corner. Thanks for watching. And remember, the mystery is never far away at Chill Spot.